Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Tales of the Albums on the Wall, where I tell you why I have these albums above me and beside me, framed and displayed. In fact, this episode I'm going to give you a better perspective here. This is what it looks like with all those albums back there. Today's episode I am going to focus on the Lambrettas, Beat Boys in the Jet Age. What an album. The Lambrettas were part of the British mod scene from the late 70s and early 80s, and they were one of the great bands, alongside The Jam, Secret Affair, The Chords, Squire, the Lambrettas, just great, fantastic bands. In fact, the last two, Squire and the Lambrettas, were the closest mod ever got to being power pop. Produced by Peter Collins, this was a slick, melodic, and just absolutely stellar album from beginning to end. So you think about all the mod bands, they all sounded kind of different. When I say that Squire and the Lambrettas were the closest to power pop, Squire has the more jangly guitars, great songs, and really edgy, whereas the Lambrettas, this album had the energy, the tunes. The album was more slickly produced than some of the other mod things, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it's an incredible collection of great songs. You've got Jez Bird on vocals and guitar. You've got Doug Sanders on guitar. You've got Paul Windsor on drums. You've got Mark Ellis on bass. And what a great, fantastic album this is. Just chock full of great poppy songs. Very obviously 60s influenced. This is their debut album. They made 2 albums in total, and I can't say enough about this album. When I purchased it, I was going in blind. I'd never heard the band before. The album just came out in America. I bought it, took it home, and was just mesmerized from beginning to end. Every song is jam-packed with hooks and energy, and there's such a sense of fun and joy on the album. I mean, so many great songs. The song Dance, London Calling, which is not the Clash song, Cortina Mark II, Page 3, the title track, just so many great songs in here. They even had a hit single off of this album with their sort of revved up ska version of Poison Ivy, and that's always fun to listen to. But this album, every time I hear it, it takes me back to a wonderful time. And every mixtape that I made for friends always had a song from this album back then. In fact, 20, 30 years later, when I would make mix CDRs for friends, I'd always put a Lambretta song. This album has stuck with me for many, many years, and it remains a favorite. In fact, I've owned 2 or 3 versions of this on CD. This is the version that came out on Dojo, and it has bonus tracks, as you can tell. There's another version, which is going to be easier to get, and that's this one that came out on Salvo. And what this does is it takes Beat Boys in the Jet Age and then adds their second album, which is called Ambience, and then all the B-sides from both albums on the second disc. So it's definitely, this is probably your best bet. And if you look closely, this was a surprise to me. Now, I did not write the liner notes, but look who they quoted on the back here. Yep, that's right. One of my favorite albums, and just out of the blue, all of a sudden this comes out, and it has a quote from me on the back. I mean, that is like one of those great thrills of my life. But the Lambrettas, Beat Boys in the Jet Age, just still stunningly wonderful album, full of great pop tunes. If you're into the mod scene, if you're into power pop, if you're into just great melodic guitar pop, the Lambrettas, Beat Boys in the Jet Age, whichever one you want to look at, go ahead. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Tales of the Albums on the Wall. I appreciate you hanging out for a little while. Definitely check this out and check out any of the albums that I feature. Until the next time, smell you later.
I've asked before, I'm going to ask again, just one chance more. So you want to stay just for